I had literally liquid. I was 100,000, and I owed it to the IRS at the time. Like I had assets, but in terms of cash, it was like this was the low point. And
that's not the best person to owe money to.
Yeah, and we just settled. We just took the proceeds from the and you can't really I couldn't borrow against it. It was like in commercial real estate. We're still like working out stuff, and I had equity in the business, but you can't go sell the business again. It's like so it's just, we're kind of stuck. We had a nice business; it was keeping us going, but there was no money to play with, and so anyway, we ended up hatching this idea for the Necker Cup, and we flew down a month later and presented.
So that was your idea?
It was technically the idea was Mike Richards' idea, because
that wasn't Richard Branson's idea.
It wasn't Richard's idea, but the idea for the Necker Cup and just like.
Why'd you call it the Necker Cup? I'm just curious.
Well, I don't know, because it's Necker Island, and and Necker has this kind of unique.
Can you edit that part out? That was really dumb. You said it nice.
How's your battery? You're good. Okay.
She's like, I'm leaving the whole thing in.
Yeah, so we flew down, and I put the presentation together, and I decided to call it the Necker Cup because I thought, well, that's what we got to call it. And we pitched Richard. I brought Trevor Short, who came on at Lifetime as our general manager, and he had some events background, and two of us together were, he came in on Premiere Live with me, and we pitched him, and he said, okay, the island's 300,000, and I won't charge you my fee or whatever. It was our event, right? And he would support it, but he wouldn't promote it because he didn't know we had no track record. He didn't know who we were. And we were trying to run it through his foundation. He was very open-minded in that he was willing to, I think he wanted to have a tennis event. Like he liked the idea. Yeah. He just didn't know if it was going to work. And I think he would have lent us money, or he might have, but he structured it like a normal engagement. And so I had to basically come up with the money for the down payment. And so we had basically a year we had less than a year to put this event together. And
so it's kind of go big or go home, right?
Yeah, it was. I figure we have a one in a million chance, of maybe it's less, maybe it's God's hand and it was fate. But the fact that I was working with Richard, he was dyslexic. He was his story kind of was part of my story, and just the fact that I was in this period to work with him, I was like, I just pushed it in. I said, let's do this, and it was a leap of faith. And I remember when we went to the U.S. Open, we had Lifetime put in 100,000, so we were selling these spots for 100,000. The economy was still reeling, right? And I went to Nick Bollettieri. This is funny, and I said, "Hey, Nick," he's like, have you met Nick? Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, yeah, oh yeah. It's like he's very much full of himself, and he's like, oh yeah, what do you want from me? This. I say, Nick, I got this idea. It's called the Necker Cup. It's like with Sir Richard Branson. He's like, oh yeah. It's like, who's playing in it? And I'm like, well, we're working on that. And it's like, and he's like, well, but Richard's in it, and it's like, how much are you charging? It's like, we're charging 100,000 for the week. He's like, he was like a deer in headlights. He's like,
that's funny.
It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. I remember him saying, it ain't gonna work, as he was walking away. And I'm like, oh shit, Nick said it's not gonna work, and here we are. We're like, so long story short,
he knows a lot about this stuff.
He does, and we had the Bryans kind of on board, but we still had, I think, 12 AM spots to sell. So we had sold one. I sold one to Lifetime. We had 11 left. And then Trevor.
It's not exactly a price point. That's an easy sell.
Yeah, 100,000 for the week. It's an odd market. And it's funny, we've sold out the event every year since we got it off the ground, but we almost didn't get it off. So what happened was, the reason we succeeded was because Trevor reached out to Novak Djokovic, and during the Open, and Novak was interested in maybe coming.
It wasn't a no.
It wasn't a no,
Yeah.
And we met with Yelena, his girlfriend and wife now, I guess, and the bottom line, he was going into the finals, and he had he had a charity event like 2 days after the U.S. Open. And the idea was if Novak's interested, if Yelena's interested, okay, if she's interested, okay, then Novak would be interested.
Yeah.
And so she was kind of behind this whole event. And bottom line, we agreed to put up an event, a spot into the Necker Cup. And they socialized it out to their network. And this is a pretty, heady network. I mean, you can imagine it's the New York elite like coming out there.
So your relationship marketing plan is starting to work.
Yeah, it's starting to work. And and there was interest in the event.
Word's getting around. Yeah.
Word's getting around. So they're like, okay, we're going to do this. So they invited us out to this gala, the Novak's gala. It was beautiful. And, we end up putting up an auction item for someone to play with Novak at the Necker Cup, and Richard. One thing Richard did do. Richard's got this silent hand, so he brought in his daughter Holly. They flew in for this event, and she brought Princess Beatrice. Like that's another good bit of ammo to bring in.
Wow.
You're bringing royalty into this event, in essence. British royalty, and
so you just keep winning blackjack hands. You're not supposed to win 8, 9 in a row.
It gets better. So all of a sudden they start the auctioning, and it gets up to like $180,000, and we sell it for $180,000, and we're like, wow, okay, Novak's in. And then he looks over and he goes, no. Then John McEnroe, who's in the audience, stands up and says, I'm auctioning myself. And we tried to get him to go to this event like a month earlier. He didn't want anything to do with it. He's like, I'm going to auction myself. So he didn't even ask our permission. He just auctioned himself, sold it for $160,000.
Oh my gosh.
And then they asked, can we do one more? And we had 11, so we were like, okay, do one more. So we sold one with Richard. So we sold 3 spots to play in the Necker Cup with Richard, John McEnroe, and Novak Djokovic. And once that was done, we got the event up, and it broke even, like from a for-profit standpoint. But we didn't lose, and the event was a success. And then we ended up raising, I think about $600,000 for the charity. So that was a win. So all of a sudden I had a vehicle for funding this foundation, and I had a business that I could fund this lifestyle.
Oh, you had something worth money.
Yeah, so it was all a leap of faith. And that really empowered me, that success, and then having pulled that off with Richard, and, gave me a lot of confidence in figuring out how to re-architect this crazy life that I've been leading for the last 10 years, which is now we're in our 10th Necker Cup, and I've met so many people, the list goes on and on, from musicians to athletes to business people to criminals. The whole spectrum's in there, and it's been life-changing in a positive way.
But it's a brand now.
It's a brand. The Necker Cup's a brand.